Hi, I'm Doug, and these are Wycliffe's Words. I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I grew up in Indiana, so I do have a fondness for the Indianapolis 500. The greatest spectacle in racing consists of 200 laps around the famed 2.5-mile track known as the Brickyard. As you know, a lap is one turn around the track. If you're really fast, you can get so far ahead that you pass the slower cars, and then lap becomes a verb. You have lapped the other drivers. I thought of cars and racing when I ran across the word lap in the Wycliffe Bible, where, oddly enough, it's spelled with a W. I learned where that W came from when I did a little more research. Lap comes from the Proto-Germanic word wrap, which means, wait for it, to wrap around, or to fold over. And although we might think it's odd to change an R to an L, it's really quite common in the history of languages. L's and R's are called liquid consonants because they're fluid, they're slippery, they slosh around in words over time. So the lead car in a race can wrap around the pack and overlap the back end. A piece of fabric that has been folded over on a jacket is called a lapel. As I researched this word and its funny spelling, I made an amazing discovery. I found that it played an important role in the biblical description of each of the 3 most important days in human history. At the beginning of his gospel, Luke described the day Jesus was born. And she bare her firstborn son, and lapped him in cloths, and laid him in a creche. So Mary wrapped Jesus in cloth, and laid him in a manger. Near the end of his gospel, Luke described the day Jesus died. This Joseph came to Pilate and asked the body of Jesus and took it down, and lapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid him in a grave. Joseph wrapped Jesus in a cloth and laid him in a tomb. And finally, John recorded the glorious events of Sunday morning. Therefore, Simon Peter came following him, and he entered into the grave, and he saw the sheets laid, and the cloth that was on his head, not laid with the sheets, but by itself, lapped into a place. The tomb was empty. The burial shroud was empty. The face cloth was empty and folded off to one side. Those inanimate objects all shouted, "He is not here, he is risen." The gospel is full of paradoxes. The Almighty became helpless as an infant. The life-giver gave up his own life, and he suffered death in order to conquer death. And most amazing of all, he did all of this just for you. Wrap your head around that. And those are Wycliffe's Words. See you again next week.